Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from CMouse9996 and it says, am I the arsehole for saying actions have consequences to my daughter and wife? I, 48 male, have a daughter, 17 female, and wife, 47 female. I also have a sister, 45 female. My sister was quite close to us and has gained considerable wealth through her career in medicine, as well as 3 businesses she has started. When my daughter was 9, my sister told my wife and me that she had started college funds for my daughter, as well as the rest of my brother's kids. My wife and I were very grateful. Time skip until now. My daughter and wife, as well as my brothers and their families, discovered that my sister was cheating with a co-worker. The betrayed wife ended up reaching out and telling us exactly what she did. Now her husband was planning to leave her for my sister. My sister did not and does not want to get married or have kids, and basically ended up kicking him to the curb. I want to make it clear that I 100% do not condone infidelity. My wife and daughter have been taken aback by this and made their anger clearly visible. When my brother ended up inviting my brothers and their families, as well as mine and my sister for a holiday, they cursed my sister out to their face, with my wife calling her a slur and my daughter calling her a home-wrecking slur. My brother ended up hearing this and kicked my family out, and have chosen to not invite my wife and daughter to any event. After this, my wife and daughter got contact with my sister while I still stayed contact. My sister was very hurt by my wife and daughter's actions. In her view, she was a very engaged aunt and a supportive sister-in-law, which to her credit she was, and she felt as though they were choosing a stranger over her. After 6 months, my sister received no apology or even contact from my wife and daughter. Then she called me and told me we need to discuss something. She stated that my wife and daughter had made their decisions about her, and she would do the same. She would not be disrespected, and was choosing to split my daughter's college fund evenly among my brothers and kids. I did not protest this decision, and while I didn't agree with my sister, I did not try to change her mind. After this, I went home and told my wife and daughter this news. My daughter is a rising senior and now has to go through the admissions process. She and my wife were both shocked and viewed it as extremely unfair. They were already angry enough at the fact that my brothers wanted nothing to do with them and thought that they were being punished by everyone for doing the right thing. My daughter began to cry, saying that she would never be able to afford to go to college of her dreams. My wife asked what I had said to my sister, and I said nothing. I stated that actions have consequences and they were free to make their moral choices, and my sister could make her financial choices. They both called me an arsehole and have been distant. So I read it. Am I the arsehole? So the first commenter comes in and says everyone sucks here. You, your sister and all your siblings, your wife and daughter. Oof. A little curious why you and your brothers are just accepting your sister's affair. You don't condone infidelity, but your whole family seems to just be okay with all this and punishing your wife and daughter for having an issue with her actions. She clearly isn't a supportive aunt or sister-in-law if she can't see why they're upset. She's accepting no responsibility for her own actions, and she's pulling funding because her niece isn't telling her she didn't do something morally repugnant. Your daughter doesn't get the money. That's your sister's right, but your sister doesn't get to act like this is just choosing a stranger over her. Hope you responded saying my sister is the youngest and the rest of my brothers have a minimum 5-year age gap with her. They like to baby her since that is what they did when they were children. She's always been close to all of us and I don't see them cutting her off. They see my daughter and wife's behavior as incredibly rude and ungrateful. My sister has provided financial support to us. In the end, it just comes down to my brothers wanting a relationship with my sister over one with my wife and daughter, and not wanting to see my sister disrespected. As for accepting responsibility, they believe the married party is more to blame, and my sister agrees. While she doesn't view herself as innocent, she also doesn't view herself as completely guilty. I think if my wife and daughter disagreed with her actions but didn't humiliate her, she would still be funding college. A commenter replies to OP saying, well, I don't blame your wife and daughter. Your sister is a person of low moral character. I'd want jack to do with her either. The fact that she has decided to remove her financial support is her choice. Personally, it seems on par with the type of person she is. The problem you have now is clearly your wife and daughter won't ever have a relationship with your siblings or their kids going forward, so that leaves you piggy in the middle. From your wife's perspective, the fact that you all shrugged your shoulders and said oh well about your sister's behavior no doubt puts you all on a similar footing. Personally, the fact that you're so accepting of the sister's disrespect towards your wife and sister is telling. Show me the company you keep, and it says a lot about the type of person you are. I wouldn't be apologizing. I also wouldn't expect my husband to co-sign the level of bullshit you clearly are either. Opie responded saying, in my perspective, this is less about standing up for my wife and daughters than trying to maintain some family contacts. My wife and daughter did not need to humiliate my sister in public. That was their want, and I can't control what my brothers choose to do after that event. All in all, it's a very unfortunate circumstance. Commenter says, I have a question though. Where does this animosity come from? Don't get me wrong, what your sister did says a lot about her as a person. Not only the affair, but the way she did it and said, boy, bye, this was fun but not interested. I would lose respect for her as a person by the way they reacted and so publicly. Opie says, my sister has never wanted to be married, have kids, or have a traditional path in life. She's always just said it wasn't for her. Apparently the co-worker had a crush on her for quite some time, and I suppose he saw a future with my sister, but she didn't feel the same, which is why she rejected his proposal. Also, the betrayed wife ended up taking her cheating husband back. When I said she kicked him to the curb, I mean she declined his proposal, and the betrayed wife took him back. Commenter says, are you sure she actually was someone's mistress? Did the woman have proof? Personally, I think telling a teenage girl and other family members about the infidelity is very immature and toxic on the man's wife's part. You just don't do that unless you're in high school. Has your sister done anything to your wife and kid personally to hurt them? Does she have a history of making bad or immoral choices? I don't support being a mistress, but plenty of people cheat and are still excellent parents, sisters, daughters, employees, friends, etc. Also, they're huge hypocrites if they find her immoral but will still take her money. They can't have it both ways, and I don't blame your sister for pulling the college money. Not the arsehole. Opie responded saying, no, she was good to both of them. She paid for some of my daughter's extracurriculars, took her on trips with her cousins, helped my wife through postpartum, helped us with rent, and got my daughter her dream internship with connections. She did have proof, text messages, call logs, and yes, my sister knew he was married. Child of Raven says, you're not wrong, but neither are they. Wife, daughter, or sister for the money. But I am an ass and feel obligated to state that I hope your sister continues to feel the consequences of her action. I hear some places have a home record clause, meaning the cheated on spouse can go for damages against the affair partners. Perhaps your sister needs to rearrange her finances for a different reason. Opie says, we're not in one of those states. The wife can try, but I don't think it will go anywhere. I asked my sister if she knows how much he spent on her, and she said it's around 15k, but she didn't spend any money on him. So I don't know how the courts will view that. Opie responds to a longer comment saying, I still think my sister is a good person. She has supported our family, volunteered and donated large amounts of time and money in our community, and was there on the front lines of COVID as a doctor. While yes, she made a mistake, I do not think she is an irredeemable human being. One more commenter says to OP, what sort of discussions did you have with your wife and daughter leading up to this holiday party? Surely the possibility of your sister being there and how the family should react was brought up. Well, breaking up a marriage is a major character flaw. This was seemingly a close family member and your wife and daughter came in hostile, judgmental, and beyond rude to someone they love. Maybe you're leaving out more details, but you seem to be observing rather than guiding your family through this. OP replies saying yes, they knew she would be there. Between the wife telling and holiday was about 3 weeks. They planned to do this and ambush her. I did not know this as they did not tell me. Only afterwards did they tell me. This might be necessary context, but my wife's family was broken when her father cheated with another woman, so she absolutely despises cheaters. To my wife and daughter, this acted like their way of getting revenge. It was instant love to instant hate when they found out my sister cheated. They told me they were going to keep their distance at the party, but clearly they did not do that. Now, I'm going to be interested to hear your takes on this one. As I always say, I'm never sure if I'm correct or what in these. I'm just going with what I just read and how I'm feeling about it, because I think whilst I don't agree with cheating in any shape or form, I think everyone came out of this one looking worse to some kind of degree. I mean, the sister absolutely deserved to be judged for knowingly having an affair with a married man, but publicly ambushing and insulting her at a family gathering, that was never going to end well, was it? I mean, but at the same time, the sister can't act shocked because people lost respect for over something that she chose to do. She was also within her rights to withdraw the college fund, but that decision is also going to damage the relationship with her niece and the people around her. And Opie was right saying actions have consequences, but also ignored the fact that the biggest consequence started with his sister's affair. If she hadn't chosen to have that affair in the first place, none of this family fallout would have happened unless there was something else going on between Opie's wife and daughter and the sister at the same time, but nothing hinted at that as well. So yeah, it was just literally all over the place. But at some point later, Opie came in with a first update and says, if you'll see my last post, I have an update for you. My wife and daughter have gone to stay with my wife's friend. Additionally, my daughter decided to text my sister and demand the money, and said we'd be suing her if she did not release the funds to us. On top of this, she doubled down on her comment saying she stood by her mum and her words. My sister sent me the messages my daughter sent, which is the only way I know they were sent, as neither my wife nor my daughter has chosen to inform me. She said before finalizing the decision to divide my daughter's fund, she consulted her legal team and they have no grounds for bringing a lawsuit to her. At this point, I'm incredibly disappointed in my wife's and daughter's behavior and find their entitlement astounding. My sister has also told our brothers about my wife and daughter's ridiculous plan, and they are appalled by their actions as well. I don't know what to do, and it seems like they don't want to accept the consequences of their actions. They are using my sister's cheating as an excuse to do whatever the hell they want without telling me. I don't know how much of this I can take. I've apologized to my sister for their rudeness and entitlement, but I can tell she's very pissed. Not the fact that they disapprove of her participating in infidelity, but at the fact that they think she owes them over $500,000 after cutting off and cussing her out. Some people were wondering what happened with my sister's job as a doctor, and whether she was fired or not. The answer to that is that nothing really significant happened. While they were both told their behavior was unprofessional, there were no power imbalances, and they both were just receiving a warning. Some people hypothesized that perhaps my sister was facing no consequences was why my wife and daughter felt they needed to do what they did. Perhaps there is some merit to that, but I do not believe it excuses their actions. Also, I saw comments saying the only reason why my brothers were siding with my sister was for money. I didn't believe this entirely the reason, maybe a small bit of it. They've always been very protective of her since she's the youngest and only girl. Also, they do pretty well for themselves. Not as well as my sister, but still pretty well. While she's given money to them, it is a much smaller amount compared to the amount she supported my family. They just like her more than my wife and daughter and prioritize the time spent with her. I also don't understand everyone who wants me to cut my sister and brothers off. My wife and daughter made their choice to mind business that was not theirs and face the consequences. Losing my entire family of origin because of decisions that were not well thought out does not seem worth it to me. We've been treated just fine until two members of my family decided to disrespect my sister in front of the rest of our family. And we have another update in a moment, but someone said, what did OP say about whether his sister should face consequences for her actions? And OP says, thank you for this. What my sister did was very wrong, but I don't think it defines her as a person. I'm not her parent to give her consequences. Hell, I can barely do that for my teenager, and cutting her off for doing something in her private life makes no sense to me when I'm not even the victim. What my sister did was horrible. I'm not disagreeing with anyone about that. I just wanted to be acknowledged that it was both parties at fault, rather than just my sister, which many misogynists have stated. However, my wife and daughter's way to get revenge and their choices are the reason why we're in the situation we're in. My brothers and I have addressed my sister's situation privately, and I know it's easy to some people here, but I don't think cutting her off will do anything helpful. Someone said, what did OP say about the college fund and its conditions, the strings, and why his daughter lost access to it? OP says my sister pays the college directly from the college fund. Whatever else money left over goes to the child. All money is in my sister's name. The strings were to maintain a relationship with my sister. That doesn't mean they couldn't disagree with her, just to not disrespect her, which is a bare minimum expectation. My daughter can apply for loans and go to community college to save money, since she's partially responsible for my sister choosing to not give her the money. She's not acting like a parent because she has no obligation to. She's an aunt. This was a gift that was guaranteed through a relationship. If you cut someone off, you cut off their money too. My sister didn't destroy a family. The wife took her cheating husband back, and it was her husband's decision to wreck his family. Someone said, what did OP say about his sister's relationship with his wife and daughter after they cut her off? OP says, at this point, I don't think my sister really cares about maintaining a relationship with my wife and sister after how they treated her. In her words, I didn't go to medical school, work nearly 100 hours a week as a resident, risk my livelihood for my business, and sacrifice so much to give money to people who don't even want to associate with me. While my daughter may see it as the other cousins being favored, I don't. I see it as them not biting the hand that fed them. She's not destroying my family. My daughter and wife not wanting to accept my sister's actions and responding to their distance is what's pulling us apart. My wife and daughter cut her off first. She's just tired at their entitlement apparently. They went to some consultations with local contract lawyers, and they stated that they had no case. A college fund is considered a gift, and until it's transferred hands, it belongs solely to my sister. Also, since my daughter hasn't even begun the admissions process, there is time for her to make decisions that reflect her losing the college fund. My sister can't be forced to give it. What did OP say about his family of origin, his immediate family, and his daughter's college plans? OP says, my family of origin is definitely not perfect, but the family that I created, my immediate family, is acting very entitled. They caused a scene at my brother's party, cut her off, and then expect my sister to pay for college and wanted to sue her. I understand why my family of origin made the decisions that they made. While I'm sad and wish things weren't so bad, I can see where my family of origin is coming from. I never said this. She can apply where she wants, but there is no way I can pay most of the cost with my salary. And the reality is, if she doesn't do the community college and transfer route, my ability to help will be very limited. What did OP say about his daughter and wife's actions and why he believes they're responsible for the current situation? OP says, I barely recognize my wife and daughter. They've never seemed this entitled. On the contrary, they were very kind, and my wife's warmth was a large reason I married her. I'm mad and confused because it feels like I'm dealing with strangers. And it is hard for me to think positive when everything is so negative around me. Yeah, they cursed her out. That was their vigilante justice. I do not support my sister's cheating. I've privately discussed it with her and my brothers and have said multiple times that what she did was horrible. How is my wife trying to protect herself from a family who they now realize never actually cared about them? I acted entitled to over 500k, of which not a cent did they earn, by causing a scene. What did causing a scene do? Did it help the cheated on wife? Give them a sense of moral superiority? In fact, if they wanted to curse her out, fine. If they wanted to cut her off, fine. But acting like they are owed something is crazy. OP comes in with one more update and says, well, my wife and daughter did try to sue my sister. They went to 6 consultations and all 6 said they had no case. So that clearly isn't happening. They've decided to take a different approach, which is harassing my sister, and my wife and daughter both got their friends involved in doing so. My sister sent the messages my wife and daughter's friends were sending to her, and they were quite nasty. On top of this, they called the hospital where my sister works and informed them of what my sister did, and said they were boycotting the hospital. My sister works in a pediatric hospital and is a pediatric neurosurgeon. Not exactly a service that is boycottable. They were basically trying to get her fired. I guess since my wife and daughter can't access her money, they want to try and take one source of her money away from her, and that's how they're getting revenge. This did not go anywhere, as the hospital is already aware of my sister's actions. My sister has shifted from pissed to just sick of the situation. I've apologized for the harassment she's been receiving. She has informed me that if they make any physical threats, then she will be taking legal action. I hope that it does not come to that, but honestly, who knows at this point? I'm 99% sure my marriage is over. I cannot live with someone with this much entitlement and this much vengeance. I can't do it. As for my child, I will always love her and want the best for her. However, I do not like her entitled attitude. While I will support her, I cannot back this behavior. As for my sister's participation in infidelity, my sister and I had a longer, calmer conversation. I explained to her that I was disappointed by her actions, but would always love her and be there for her. We sort of went into why she did it. That's private, so I won't share it here. It was a productive conversation, and I learned more about my sister. Overall, I'm just sort of done. They are still at my wife's friend's house and barely communicating with me, and whatever is being communicated is in rage. I've given up on trying to get them to see reality. Question: what next steps should I take to make sure this divorce goes as smooth as possible, especially for my child? How should I document my daughter's refusal to communicate with me so it doesn't look like I'm abandoning or alienating her? Will the fact that my wife and daughter are actively harassing my sister carry any weight in court? And I'm just going to give you an overview of the comments after that. Many people saying that it's ironic that the wife and daughter is calling the sister horrible, but they're still after the money and they're trying to sue and harass and all this kind of stuff. And people are not defending the sister's actions, obviously, because cheating is never a good thing, but got so far to the point of like harassing the sister and all this kind of thing, which just was not needed. They could have just stepped back, been disappointed all they like, and not said a word. But many people also pointing out OP's marriage and how that doesn't look like it's going to last the way things are going. But what do you guys make of this situation? Maybe you got a completely different opinion on the matter. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's have another story. Now, our next story comes from the Off My Chest subreddit from an anonymous account. And a quick trigger warning before we do get into it. Story talks about abuse. You'll get it from the title. So if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Likely the last story of this video. So totally up to you. Thank you. It's titled, "My fiance threw a glass at my head because he got mad about a football player's number. I don't even know what to do right now. Yesterday, my fiance threw a glass at my head. It was a beer glass, so it was really heavy and it made a dent in the wall and broke, and there was glass all over the place. He He said he was sorry and I just said it's fine because I was so freaked out. He's never done anything like this or put his hands on me before, but I was scared. I don't even know why he was mad. He was upset about football. He was mad because of the jersey number of the new player on his team. I don't watch football and I had no idea why a player's number was such a big deal. I know he's excited about this player joining the team, but I don't get what the problem with the number is. He just screamed at me and threw the glass, just because I asked a fucking question. There was glass all over and a piece nicked my leg a little. It was a small nick and he said he was sorry later, but he freaked me out. I'm at work now and I can't stop thinking about it. I didn't sleep. I only stayed here in Texas after I graduated because he was from here. But since yesterday, I've been thinking about going back to my home state. My confession is that I don't want to marry him anymore. The first commenter said to OP, pack your bags and leave when he's out of the house. This is abuse and will only escalate. Commenter replied saying, yes, this is absolutely unhinged behavior. If he's having such a violent reaction to some stupid football thing, imagine his reaction when there is an issue that directly affects him. Commenter says he can't control his temper and you're right to want to get away from him. There's no reason to throw a glass at someone's head and he did it over a particularly stupid, petty thing. Captain says, I threw a glass at a guy's head who was drunk and broke into my house at night. So there are reasons. The OP's fiance reason is not one that requires a glass thrown. One more commenter says, did you check what the guy's jersey number was when he broke in? I think that would have justified it, or at least if OP's boyfriend was on the jury, with an eye roll emoji at the end. And as you can imagine, all the commenters were pretty much along the same sort of lines of just get out of there immediately, that's not going to get any better. The fact that he's launched a glass at your head over anything really, but the fact that it's over a footballer's jersey number is just red flags all over, isn't it? But 2 months later, OP comes in with her update and says, my update is that I've moved out and my relationship with him is over. I wanted to post again mainly to thank everyone for all the love and support that I received in the comments. It wasn't just a small thing. I really needed them after what happened, so I appreciate you all. If anyone sent me private messages to show support, I apologize for not replying to it. My messages ended up being full of people telling me he was right to be upset about the number and I overreacted or deserved it. I just stopped reading my messages and deleted all of them. If you sent me a supportive message, I appreciate you. When I told him I was leaving, he acted like he was in shock. I'd already packed some things already and sent them back home. While I was packing the rest of my clothes, he kept saying he didn't understand. He cried when I left and I didn't say where I was going. I went back to my home state and I'm living with my family. I'm working on getting a nursing license in this state so I can find a job. My home state doesn't have reciprocity with Texas, so I have to apply for a license here before I can work. My family has been great. They gave me money so I could pay the rent for the last 2 months of the lease, so my ex-fiance couldn't say I abandoned the lease. I'm grateful. I have no plans to go back. I don't even have a way to contact him because I have a new phone number and email, and it's probably better that way. I knew there was no way to put the genie back in the bottle after what he did. A commenter says to OP, I'm so glad you left. At my church, before football season every year, my pastor reminds everyone how much domestic violence incidents increase during football season. It's a sad reality, but I'm glad you're out of there. You deserve all the blessings. Commenter replies to that saying, statistically, Super Bowl Sunday is the highest DV call rate of the year. I hear that kind of thing in the UK as well, like with World Cups and Euros and stuff like that. But the fact that he acted shocked after this, after he threw a glass at his partner's head, that's so crazy. But it sounds like OP is doing much better now, got a supportive family behind her, working on a nursing license at the same time, and listen to the advice, which is always relieving to hear after a story like that. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly is absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.